Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode number 316. What? Larry here.
And not Anthony here.
No, as you can tell, and I don't even know how this is visually going to look. Hopefully it's presentable.
I guess you'll find out in post.
That's what it's all about. It's all about post. Anthony is away. He's on assignment, as I like to say. And our good friend Charles is here with us. Charles, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. I know last time you said it was like a year or so since you were on, so now we're going to try and bring you on regularly.
Yeah, I think this is only 4 months because I think the last time was 300. So
It was, yes.
Yeah, as I sit here next to the box of goodies that I won for the Christmas contest.
Yes, he did.
Oh yes, I especially love the stocking. Oh, it's upside down, but
yeah, it's pretty cool.
I don't think I can hang it up off my mantle though because it might not fit.
It's a big stocking, right?
That's what she said.
Well, what was in it?
Oh, what was in the stocking itself? Nothing. However, what was in the box, which I have yet to do in the box, was Mario socks.
Yes.
Along with wait.
What else?
The puzzle.
Oh,
Mary's probably going to do this.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Mary's probably going to do that because she loves
Anthony's
puzzles.
throwing stuff in without telling me.
Oh, Anthony threw a lot of stuff in here. There's a bunch of desktop stuff on here.
Okay.
And Pac-Man for the Sega Genesis.
Yes. Yeah.
That was a nice little surprise.
Miss Pac-Man.
Is it?
And that's a good version too.
Oh, it is Miss Pac-Man. It is. I didn't even notice that. Let's see what else is in here. A couple of Lego sets also. And actually, I got to make this one. It's the 3D coin. I should probably put that on my desk at work. I think I'll leave it out.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, but
Where did you get that?
I don't know, but it's like whenever I go Christmas shopping. Oh, this is what you got. Oh, okay, thank you.
Seriously.
Well, at least that's when I was married, but yeah.
We need to do meetings. So
okay.
me and Anthony. So I can figure out what's going on.
And now the cat's going to go into the box.
There he goes.
There you go.
So, but thank you for being on the show this week because we want to this week, and you're on for a specific reason.
Yes, because as soon as I saw the news, I texted you guys and said
yes.
I should make an appearance for this.
Yes, and Anthony's just not. This is not his wheelbarrow, whatever it is.
It's not wheelhouse.
Thank you. Wheelhouse.
You're welcome.
So I figured I'd bring in one of the other experts, fan of the genre. And we're going to deep dive a little bit more this week, especially now that we have time to play it and we can actually talk about experience with it. The Nintendo Switch Online Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games that are on the Switch. Well, do you have the Expansion Plus?
I don't have the Expansion Plus yet.
Fair enough.
We're probably going to get in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I tell you, like I said, I know when you said in your last episode when you saw the news, you kind of squealed and jumped up for joy. Mary and I were playing a couple of weeks ago on the Switch, and every time I sign on, I look at the news and everything, and I look at the online. I saw it, she saw it, we saw Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, and we both jumped up and started screaming for joy because this is something we have been waiting for since the beginning, since the online program started, because the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance have so many legendary games.
So many.
It's about time Nintendo listened to its fans or just realized the dollar signs and finally did this.
I think it was just a matter of time as well. I think it's just when they first announced Nintendo and Super Nintendo, I think it's just kind of just a matter of time. Just who knew it was going to take this long.
And plus, it was also a test to see if the market would.
Oh, of course,
would want it, which obviously it does.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's a lot of people now. Well, nowadays is a little different, but still, Nintendo. I always feel like Nintendo is always like a year behind sometimes in like what's cool, and there might have been a time where a lot of people thought that Game Boy games just look, because they technically do, let's face facts, they look inferior. The green, everyone talks about the pea soup green. So probably people just didn't think it was aesthetically pleasing, but then you get into the gameplay and it's a whole new ball game.
It goes back to you got to think about what we had at the time. It was advanced for its time. I mean, it was a pain in the rear trying to play while you were driving or while you were in the car in the back seat trying to play the game, waiting for streetlights to pass so you can actually see anything.
Yeah.
But some of some of the games were pretty legendary games also. And I said this the last time we discussed handhelds. It wasn't just carbon copies of what was on the Nintendo original NES. These were legit separate games. For example, the Mario franchise. Super Mario Land was different. Mario Land 2 was definitely different, much more different.
Mm-hmm.
And Wario Land, that just blew everything out of the water and introduced a different way of things.
And even if it was, because there were a few carbon copies, but even those, at least you can play them on the go, because it's not like there was really
like
heavy save states.
Like Paperboy and Tetris.
Oh, yeah.
Tetris, you really can't.
You can't change it.
Oh no, Mary's playing Tetris on the big screen. I'm watching her do things, and it's just no, do this, no, do this. Look where your next piece is, and then it's just no. And the first time I fired it up after it downloaded, I got up to like 105 lines.
Mary being your daughter.
Yes. She turns 11 She turns 11 on Tuesday.
Good Lord. There you go. Showing her the ways of the retro.
Well, she played. Yes. She took over your machine when we were at the Retro Gaming Expo to play the Pokemon.
Yeah, she did. You did. I had my Game Boy Color, right? So, I think.
No, I think you had not the poly. Well, definitely not the poly.
No offense, obviously. I wasn't letting her use the analog, the poly.
Oh no,
I mean the analog
taken.
Pocket.
No, none taken. I understand.
No one was using it.
No, you had one of your systems there. We were
probably
able to play.
I think I think I had. No. I did have the Game Boy. Super Game Boy.
That's what it was.
Yes, Super Game Boy.
Yes.
So, yes, and she did play Pokemon.
Pokemon.
So, yeah, very cool that you're showing, and I see a lot of my friends, with their kids, showing the ways of the retro. So it's really, really cool to see that.
And I still have my original Game Boy. It's actually sitting on. Well, let's see. Can I switch the camera? No, I can't.
Don't mess with anything right now.
Okay.
The way we set this up.
Well, it's sitting on my shelf over there, hidden behind the cat's box.
Fair enough.
Along with my original Advance, 30 and 20 years old, respectively.
Oh my gosh. No, that's cool. Yeah, I still got my original Game Boy. I've talked about that. A lot of my games. The Game Boy luckily survived Hurricane Sandy because it was with me at the time. Everything else got washed away. Yeah. But it is what it is. But today, we're going to get into the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance Online. We're going to deep dive a little bit more into some of these games that are currently available, maybe a small wish list, like what we hope or what we would like to see moving forward. And like Charles said, a lot of these games, even today, I will put up in a top 50 list. Some of which will be high on the list.
Link's Awakening, enough said.
Oh, right up the original Link's Awakening.
Yes.
Definitely up there. To me, one of the best.
Anthony will finally get to play the original.
Well, he's had the Legend of Zelda Game & Watch, which has Link's Awakening on.
Yeah.
So he could have played it.
Yeah, but it's still in his box, all sealed and everything.
This is true.
This way you can barter for trade with it during the nuclear apocalypse or something.
Very true. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about some of these games and our memories and stuff like that. And of course, folks, before we get really deep into this, remember. This is Anthony's shtick, so I'm not going to do it justice. But follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, on Twitter. Search Retro Gamers Podcast. Give us that thumbs up on YouTube. Get that algorithm going in our direction. Thumbs up, share, and definitely hit us up on social media. We always love interacting with people who listen to us and watch us as well. Yes, absolutely. Because I was so happy to give you that stocking. So let's get into it.
Folks, it was not thrown. It was not fixed. He spun the wheel on the air.
Sure did. So let's get into some of the games here. So with the Game Boy, again, these are the first. I'm just going to list them and then we can go through them. The launch titles, if you will, for the Game Boy Online. Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX, specific. We'll come back to that. Yeah. Tetris. Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. Gargoyle's Quest. Game & Watch Gallery 3. Still, I'm shocked they put this. Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. Metroid 2, The Return of Samus. Wario Land 3, and Kirby's Dream Land.
Oh, Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3.
Wario Land 3, yeah, what'd I say? Super Mario.
No, it's Super Mario Land 3. Wait.
No, it's Wario Land 3. Remember, Wario Land spun off into its own series.
Oh, I didn't know there was a third one or a second one.
You're right. Super Mario Land 3, Wario.
Wario. Yeah.
But then they made a Wario Land 2 and a Wario Land.
Oh, okay.
Stuff. Even a Wario Land 4, I think, on Game Boy Advance. I think I have on my DS, my 3DS. So first of all, great launch lineup.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, you have to have Tetris in there. It was the original one
so let's talk
that came
about
with
that
the
first.
system.
And Anthony's, between the two of us, me and him, Anthony's a huge Tetris fan.
Yeah.
He's obviously played the more NES version of Tetris, and
Mm-hmm.
it's Tetris. You can't change it. They've tried,
Yeah, but you
but
can't. It's the
you
same.
can't change it.
No, it's the same. It's the same format no matter what. And Mary actually said she prefers the Game Boy one as opposed to the original, the one on Nintendo.
That, and me too. To me, the definitive Tetris is the Game Boy version. Now, was that because that's the one I played mostly and I didn't have the NES version? I don't know. I just think it runs smoother now that I've played both versions. Well, maybe not smoother, but it runs better. And it's just more enjoyable. And the game is kind of designed to be on a go game.
It is. It's definitely designed to be an on the go game, and I think it was actually released for the Game Boy before it was released for the original NES.
Well, as we
Always
will
right around the same time.
We'll find out next month on Apple TV when they drop the movie Tetris.
Yeah, that ought to be interesting.
It's all about the guy getting the license. And it's funny too, because they're like, I don't know if you saw the trailer. There's one part they walk into like this. I don't know if it's going to take how seriously it's going to take itself, but I think it does. It's a little bit because it is rated R. But they're in like this lab. They're like, we're going to show you something only 5 people have seen. It's called a Game Boy. So
dramatic effect,
basically. So, but yeah, and let's face facts. I think the Game Boy helped Tetris. At the same time, I think Tetris helped the Game Boy.
Oh yeah, it definitely proved to the masses that this is indeed a system to play on the go. Tetris was the perfect game to introduce and prove that.
Absolutely, and even when they re-released it as Tetris DX, because as Nintendo does, when the Super NES came out, everything was super.
Super. It says DX. I think of calculus. You find the derivative of Tetris. 4 blocks.
Don't make my head explode. DX. DX was all like the Game Boy Color version of games, much like how the deluxe games today are all Wii Switch versions of Wii and Wii games. So Tetris, definitely love it. That's the skin I use for Tetris 99 is the Game Boy skin. So definitely you can't go wrong with that. Link's Awakening DX. We're going to talk about that. DX.
Link's Awakening. You can still play the Game Boy version.
Oh, no, the original, yeah.
Yeah. But Link's Awakening is my favorite Zelda game. It's also one of my favorite movie game themes from with that episode Anthony and I did a couple of years ago. Because the theme is just different from the original Legend of Zelda. It still touches on and everything. But Link's Awakening was definitely a turn away from Ganon and Zelda, totally different plot, totally different gameplay, and it was just the gameplay was phenomenal. That game was just perfect.
It really was. I feel like now that you mention that, because you're right, there was no Ganon, there was no Hyrule, and almost the same with like Super Mario Land. It wasn't the Mushroom Kingdom, it wasn't Peach, it wasn't even Koopa.
Toadstool.
Yeah, well, depending on what era.
Oh, I argue with Mary about it all the time because she was raised on Peach, and we're old school Toadstool.
But like what I'm getting at is that like I feel like maybe the designers always felt that the Game Boy was so different that they can do these other stories or other legends, if you will, for these epic IPs.
And even look at Metroid 2. It was the first Game Boy game to have a battery and to have a save feature.
Yeah,
and the first Metroid game to have a save feature.
Yeah, and that I loved Metroid 2.
It's great.
Before we get into Metroid 2, to go back to Link's Awakening, again, this is the DX version. Now, the reason why I'm also mentioning this is because with the Game Boy Online, you actually have 3 different screens that you can use. Either the green layout, the black and white layout, or the Game Boy Color layout. And you can change that up however you want. Any Game Boy Color games, like native Game Boy Color games, will automatically play in color regardless. But like, do you use which one of the 3 do you?
It depends. For Metroid 2, I've been using the color one. Tetris, I did the original.
Okay. Yeah,
Mary prefers the color for all of them.
Okay, which I can understand. I've been going green. I'm sticking old school. I'm sticking old school green.
She's been playing that Gargoyle game, which we'll get to.
And then with Link's Awakening DX had which I never played because I only had the original Link's Awakening.
Me too.
I never had DX.
Yeah, I never had the color. So
the color version has a color dungeon, which I'm actually excited to try now because that I'll actually play through the game to get to the dungeon and then just give it a shot. So I forgot what you get out of it. I don't know if you get a new weapon or something.
A shrubbery.
Maybe. So, but yeah, Link's Awakening, definitely worth it. Even, dare I say, slightly better than the remake on Switch, and that one was awesome.
I don't have that one yet.
You never played the remake?
It's on my list of things to get when my finances are better.
Fair enough.
There's a long list. The first thing being upgrading my online package so I can get to the advanced games.
Fair enough. Next, Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins.
Yeah, which was also a departure from the original Mario way of thinking also, because there's no Bowser. Once again, there's no Bowser.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Toadstool. It brings in the evil,
Wario. It introduced Wario. Which ended up became legend immediately. So worth it there.
Mario Land, because 6 golden coins, it kind of leans towards the Mario 3 kind of layout where there's a world maps you have to go to. You have to go a certain way to beat the game. Because you have to collect all 6 coins from the 6 different worlds.
True.
To get to the final castle.
But not only that, it was so when I remember when Super Mario Land came out, it was so different. And even back then, it's like, all right, like in my head, I'm thinking, well, they can only do so much for a Game Boy game.
Exactly.
Like just how minimalist it looked.
It was also, you got to think about it as minimalist also because it was right when the Game Boy first came out.
True, very true. And then this then changed to this is now looks like a Super Mario Brothers game.
Exactly.
With Super Mario Brothers Land 2.
The graphics themselves were a huge improvement. The only thing there were 2 things I didn't like about 6 golden coins. There's no score. And it's unlimited coins. You get to 999 and then poof, that's it. That drove me nuts.
Score, Mega Man taught me score because the first Mega Man game had a score and then after that was gone. So to me,
different. That's different franchises, different things.
But to me, score never, even in the original Mario, like the score only counted when I was at the Jacob Javits Center for the Nintendo Power Fest. That was the only, even then it was still coins. So was it coins or score? I think it was coins. Now that I think about it. Nevertheless, 6 golden coins. I would have thought though they would have went with the original Mario Land, but I'm happy they went with 6 golden coins.
I can understand why they went with 6 golden coins because they want to show the
just visually
graphics. The visually.
A game I'm not really familiar with, Gargoyle's Quest, a spin-off of Ghosts and Goblins.
Mary started playing that because it's gargoyles. But
I'm gonna try.
I'm not really a Ghosts and Goblins person, so I haven't really tried it. But I will eventually.
I'm sadistic, so I do enjoy Ghosts and Goblins.
I thought that's why you played Castlevania too.
Don't. I will end this conversation immediately. So Gargoyle's Quest, again, not too familiar with, but I'm happy it's on here because now it's a game I'll definitely give a shot with. Another game that I loved this series, and I was actually shocked and happy that they put it on. Fortunately, it's not my favorite version. Game & Watch Gallery 3.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting to see some of the games that were on there because Mary started playing through some of them also, and she's kind of like, "Daddy, what is this?" Yes, Mary, it's simple.
Oh no, and I played those games like the original versions. I mean, hours.
Oh, me too. The original handheld Game & Watches. I had a whole bunch of them.
Oh, not only that. I meant like the Game Boy series.
Yeah.
Also, because when those came out, all my Game & Watches. I don't even think I had that many, to be honest.
No, I didn't have the Game & Watch Gallery for the Game Boy. I had it for the Advance.
Okay. No, I had all of them at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And this version, again, not my favorite. Because my favorite game, and if I can find an original version of it, I'd be so happy, but it's probably a lot of money because I spent a good penny for Mario Cement Factory. But oil. I love oil. And it's just simply, grabbing the oil that's leaking and throwing it out the window. And I think that was on Game & Watch maybe 1. It was either 1 or 2, but then I did get it on the Gold Collection, which was like like the special version you're able to order online when you had enough coins and stuff, gold coins.
Nice. Just for the folks at home,
Yeah.
I just keep looking off to the side because my cat is in there doing cat things.
Fair enough. If you got to go, let me know. We can always pause. So the end Game Watch Gallery 3, as you play on, you actually unlock more games anyway, which is very cool. So, a game I am happy to see on here because it's such a third party and such a game out of nowhere. Alone in the Dark, the new Nightmare.
Yeah, Mary started playing that also.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with it. So
Neither am I.
But these are things, hey, this is different. We're going to have to try. It looks like they tried to do something from each genre. The only thing they forgot about, sports.
Yeah, I can't think of any memorable sports games for the Game Boy.
Roger Clemens, MVP baseball.
Any memorable sports games that are not that expensive to get a license for?
True. That was actually a good LJN game.
No, true. But yeah, Alone in the Dark, the new Nightmare, which actually a lot of people say is a good game. So I'll give it a shot. It's very Resident Evil to me.
Yeah.
So very interesting. All right, now let's get into it. Metroid 2, The Return of Samus. A game that, of course, I'm playing the series completely out of order.
Yeah.
And Metroid 2, I played through because I got it on the 3DS. Happy to play it here. Something I didn't realize. So when the Super Game Boy came out, which was a literal game changer, Metroid 2 is a regular Game Boy game.
Yeah.
But apparently the Super Game Boy had a special color palette just for Metroid 2.
Ooh, now I'm going to get a Super Game Boy.
It wasn't like a Game Boy Color palette.
Yeah.
It was just a special palette that wasn't part of the pre-rendered ones, which I always went to black and white. Yeah. I always use black and white on every game. But yeah, there was apparently a special color palette for Metroid 2.
I should have bought that Super Game Boy at the expo. But hey, the Famicom was even better.
No, I don't blame you, man.
Yeah.
So Metroid 2, very annoying at parts if you're not keeping track of where you are.
And that's the other thing. That's the other thing that's good about the game, because you can only go so far. You have to defeat X amount of Metroids, then the lava goes down. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can advance further. And as you advance further, you see the mutations of the Metroids, Alpha, Gamma, Zeta, Omega.
Yeah, you
would think the Omega one was the hardest one to beat. It's not. The Zeta, it's a pain in the beep.
But it was phenomenal. I loved playing that game. I think I clock in like 12 hours or something like that. I think ended up doing, or something like that.
12 hours?
No, it took me forever.
Wow.
Maybe a little short of that. No,
it also introduced some new items. The space jump. There were no high speed boots, so that's probably why they did the space jump. Mm-hmm. The spider ball, which lets you stick while morphing,
yes. Yep.
and the spring ball, which lets you jump while morphing.
Yep.
But like I said, it was the first one to have a battery pack, so you can actually save your progress instead of having to worry about passwords.
Yes. And we're going to talk about another Metroid a little later on, so we'll come back to that series.
Spoilers.
Wario Land 3. So as I was mentioning before, Wario Land spun off into its own series.
Yes.
I still, without Anthony, well, you're going to give me trouble with this anyway. I still feel a top 50 list should be Virtual Boy Wario Land. So, because that game is a tremendous platformer.
Yeah, if you don't get seizures from playing it for the first 5 minutes.
Whatever. It said in the box, 10% of people, well, not seizures, but 10% of people don't see 3D.
Oh yeah.
Every game had a seizure warning anyway, so I don't want to hear.
I tried that for 5 minutes and I just got a headache out of it. I
got to get mine slightly updated, but in any event,
wait, you got one that works now?
Well, I have one that works that you didn't break. And
I did not. I did not break it.
You almost broke it.
No, I did not almost broke it.
You shook the box. The thing can barely be moved. It's like carrying a carton of broken eggs.
Well, that's how expensive eggs are these days.
This is true.
At least I live somewhere where I have friends with chickens. So.
But Wario Land 3 is a great platformer. It's very different, very odd, but it's very Wario. So yeah. It works.
Well, Wario, that's the whole point. Wario is supposed to be such a separate and different compared to Mario, normal versus abnormal. But then again, there is no such thing as normal because one person's normal as everyone else is abnormal.
especially Wario, which again we'll come back to a little bit.
Yes.
And then finally Kirby's Dream Land, which is the first Kirby game to come out in the series.
Very first Kirby game, and that's Mary's favorite franchise, so she's been playing that.
Yeah, the new one's supposed to be real. Well, the Deluxe, which is a remake of the Wii game.
Yeah.
The Wii game was fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, she's played the demo of the Deluxe, and she's like, "Daddy, we got this."
Down the road.
Yeah, down the road.
So yeah, but
Not
Kirby's Dream Land, which everyone very famous on the cover. A white Kirby, not a pink Kirby. So Kirby started off looking like a ghost, and but later on, of course, just epic gameplay. So those are the released. Those are the release games. Now they've already kind of not hinted, but they showed what will be released later on, at least. Just to mention, we don't have to deep dive into these, but coming out soon, and there's no time frame.
There's no time frame. Mary,
when someone remembers to hit the button, we'll drop these games.
Yeah, because Mary's like, "When's it coming out? When's it coming out? Did it come out yet? When's it coming out?" I don't know.
I haven't seen a new NES game listed there in a long time.
Yeah, same for Super Nintendo one either.
Yeah. Oracle of Seasons. Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, Zelda, Oracle of Ages. Pokemon trading card game. And Kirby.
She can't wait for that.
And Kirby's Tilt and Tumble, which is going to be interesting because Tilt and Tumble was a game pack that you had to physically turn the Game Boy with.
Well, that should be easy to do with I almost said Wii, with the Switch.
Totally
console. Yeah,
I'm just see how it plays into it. So it'll be very
and it should be easy to use the original Nintendo controllers that come for the Switch to play the Game Boy games.
True, except for Tilt and Tumble because you need the gyroscope in it. But in any event, you're right. I actually, funny enough, I would use more the Super Nintendo because I'm so used to using a Super Nintendo controller with the Super Game Boy.
Yeah, I got to get the Super Nintendo controller ones.
Yeah, no, they're very
priorities.
Cool. They're very good. So, and remember, folks, these can be played 2-player online.
Yes.
So, I mean, now, so me and Ant, we tried doing we tried playing 2-player NES with their Nintendo NES library.
Yeah.
And the lag was so wicked. I mean, it was even my system when it was my turn was super laggy.
I never had. I know I don't have issues with lag when I do it. So
maybe me and you should try it. Maybe just I don't know. Maybe because he was too far away because he was in LA at the time.
Shouldn't have made a difference.
You're right, but it was so bad we couldn't do it. We were gonna try and record something.
And your TV was on game mode, I assume. Right?
Always, it's always on game.
I was gonna say. I mean, that's the first thing you guys would check.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was weird, but in any event, great lineup. So I just want to talk real quick about maybe some like a wish list, if you will. Okay. Just a few games, not a lot. What would you like to see on this?
Definitely the original Super Mario Land. It is the original. It should be there. It definitely needs some sort of sports game. The original baseball is kind of like, that's why I mentioned Roger Clemens MVP baseball from LJN. One of the few good LJN games.
Yeah.
Jaws.
How dare you?
I know, right?
Bow in the wake of Jaws.
No, it's a guilty pleasure, just like someone who likes the movie Ishtar. Paperboy should be on there because that also goes with the whole handheld quick theme, and maybe a couple of the Mega Man games.
It's funny. I have that on my list. The Mega Man games. If any of them, though, I would recommend 5. Mega Man 5.
I have one on my 3DS and I have 2 as a cartridge. I never played 3, 4, and 5.
And the reason why I say 5 is because 5 is really a standalone game.
Oh.
1 through 4 just basically, and they're great games, don't get me wrong, but they just took like whatever the last 2 NES Mega Man games were. They took like half the roster of one, half the roster, and put them in the Game Boy game. Mega Man 5 had original characters.
Oh, wow.
Granted, they were all named after the planetary system, so you had, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and blah blah blah. But it was an original kind of an original idea.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say specific, and it was Game Boy Color. Also, and it's funny, I was just playing this. Actually, I got this on the wrong list. So I'll mention that next. Never mind. The Donkey Kong Land games.
Oh yes, Donkey Kong Land, and also Mario versus Donkey. No, was it Mario versus Donkey Kong?
Well, those are DS games.
No, there's
or maybe that was Game Boy Advance. Oh yeah, Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong, yeah.
There's Donkey Kong. Yeah.
Yeah, Donkey Kong because it was Donkey Kong. Yay.
Do 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 do.
Because the first couple of boards were like the original thing, and then all of a sudden, oh wait, this is a puzzle game now, and it's so addicting.
Oh, it is so good.
Oh my god!
It was the first Game Boy game that took advantage of the Super Game Boy.
Yeah.
So when you put it in the Super Game Boy, it had the color, the full color palette, and well, not full.
And I'm not a puzzle person usually, but that was just, it was phenomenal. The gameplay was great.
Great game.
And it was easy, but I'm not gonna say it was easy, but you had to think, but it wasn't impossible, like trying to do differential equations, on your first day of calculus.
Correct. No, you're right. I didn't even think of that game. No, so that's a good call. With Pokemon Day being Monday, I think a Pokemon Direct drops. Do you think we'll start seeing some traditional Pokemon games?
I would think so. I mean, Pokemon. Did Pokemon get started on the Game Boy or on the original?
Oh no, Game Boy.
So
it was only on Game Boy. It was never on Nintendo.
Oh, so then it has to. You're gonna have to see some Pokemon games.
Yeah, the traditional Pokemon games have always been on handheld until the Switch.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, Mary has that red one now. We got at the expo. Yeah.
And two kind of sleeper hits in my opinion. One, Gradius Interstellar Assault.
Ooh, I'll match that. I'll match that with Solar Striker.
Ooh, nice. Yes.
Because you remember the first time I met you, when that first game expo, I bought that in the carton for $20.
I think I bought it shortly thereafter you when I saw it. I think I tried. I'm like, I got to get this.
Yeah.
And Gradius Interstellar Assault, I didn't even know existed until a couple of years ago. So, and a game I remember having way back in the day, Faceball 2000.
I don't know that one.
Faceball, F-A-C-E, Faceball.
Wasn't there? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, it was like a first person. It was like Doom, but imagine multiplayer, but they were all the round ball smiley faces. It also came out on Super Nintendo.
Was there a Contra game? Oh wait, Castlevania. Oh yeah, that should be there. Castlevania.
So the reason why I didn't mention those, only because they're available in those Castlevania and Contra collections.
Oh, I gotta find those.
But trust me, they're worthy on their own to be in this. Don't get me wrong. So, but that's in my head. I'm like, well, those games are already separate. They're already in something else. So, all right. So
you know what's going to happen to this episode as we talk? We're both going to go, oh, this one should be on there. Oh, this one should be on there. Oh,
1,000%.
Oh my god, the ADD squirrels are going to go nuts.
Yeah, you already made me do it with Donkey Kong. So let's do it now with Game Boy Advance.
Oh,
all right. So during the Direct, right, they do the Game Boy, and now something new. And then here comes the Game Boy. And I told Anthony, when we recorded last time, I'm like, I was waiting for him to say, and now online you can buy a Game Boy as a controller. And so I'm like,
that wouldn't work though.
No, it wouldn't. But the Game Boy Advance would, because it worked well with the Game Boy.
Yes, it did with the GameCube. Yes, because I had that.
Yes. So anyway, all right, so they do the Game Boy, and I was happy.
Yeah, me too.
That was like 25 minutes into the Direct, and I'll be honest, I'm sitting there at first, and I'm like, I'm not hating anything. I'm just like, nothing's really hitting me. I mean, Pikmin 4 is cool, but beyond that, I was like, this is for me personally, this is a rough Direct. And then Game Boy, I was like, all right, 180. So I'm expecting that to be done. And then they're like, oh, and also, and here comes the Game Boy Advance. And I'm like, I'm done.
Oh, I said, and you're going to have to bleep this part out, but I looked at Mary. She looked at me. I yelled, holy shit. And we both just jumped up like a bunch of school kids. Well, she is one, so that kind of fits. But we were, it's about time.
Yes. Oh, my God.
The Game Boy Advance was such, you can make the play on words about Advance being in the name of the console, but it was such a huge advance over the original Game Boy because obviously the technology got better and the vibrant colors. It
was a Super Nintendo in your hand.
Yeah.
So that's basically what it was. And the epic story, I remember because I got mine in college, and a buddy of mine got his in college. And I remember when we went and picked him up at EB at the time, Electronics Boutique in the mall. Yeah. This was shortly after. Now, I'm just putting this as a time frame. Yeah. It was shortly after 9/11 when it came out, because I think it came out like November of 2001.
I don't know if it was November 2000. I don't remember if it was
maybe early 2002.
I think it might have been early 2002 because I got mine. It was a Christmas gift from my girlfriend at the time for Christmas in 2002 because I said I was going to go out and buy it on my own. And this was in like November of 2002. And then she's like, here, have an early Christmas gift.
Yeah, no, and of course, I'm looking it up here real quick. Oh no, it came out June of 2001.
Oh, wow.
I guess we bought it early then.
Well, late.
No, you know what? I think he bought it later on. But the
Okay.
reason why I mentioned 9/11 is because he in college he was in ROTC. So obviously when all that went down, we're like, all right, well, you're going pretty soon. And so when he went to get the Game Boy Advance, I remember, they were like, well, you can buy a warranty if you'd like. And my friend goes, all right, well, does a warranty count in active war? And the guy was kind of laughing behind the counter. He's like, no, I want to know, will this, be an issue with active war? The guy's like,
just like the one that survived Desert Storm.
Yes. Still playing.
Yes.
So the Game Boy Advance comes out. So now the Game Boy's available if you have Nintendo Switch Online. Game Boy Advance is if you have the expansion pack, kind of like how you access the N64 and the Genesis.
Yes.
So here are the launch titles for the Game Boy Advance, and then we'll get into them. The longest title. I love this title. Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3, WarioWare Inc., micro mini games or something. I almost said Mortal Kombat. No, Mario Kart Super Circuit.
That's one that should be on the Game Boy also. Mortal Kombat was really good.
Yeah, what?
On the Game Boy.
Really
Mortal Kombat
good
2.
Or just good?
No, it was really good on.
Was it? I never played Mortal Kombat on Game Boy.
Was it Mortal Kombat? No, Mortal Kombat 2.
Okay. Yeah. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga on the Game Boy Advance, and another of the Zelda games by themselves. I put this high up on the list of best Zelda games. The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap.
Yeah, I've never played that one, so I'm definitely going to have to play that one.
These are the launch titles. First of all, Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3. This was a great series because Nintendo was on some of them. They didn't do it. I don't think they did it with Super Mario World, but they basically were re-releasing the Mario games on Game Boy Advance, and they were still tweaking the graphics. Like Super Mario Advance 1, which is Super Mario Brothers 2. Had, again, a graphical update to it, which is worth buying in itself.
Oh, definitely. And plus, when you had the e-reader cards, which
for Super Mario Brothers 3, yes.
Yeah, I had them. It wasn't just for Mario 3. There were a whole bunch of other games.
Oh, no, I know, but I'm saying specifically here.
Yeah, but specifically now for Mario 3, you slide the cards and there's a whole bunch of extra levels.
Which I had.
I never got to that point, so I can't wait to see what these extra levels look like.
And I still have my e-reader. I just don't have the Super Mario cards anymore.
I don't know where I think I have the cards, but I don't know where my e-reader is.
I have the game cards as well. So in any event, what happened was you would scan in, like Charles said, you would scan in the cards for additional boards. Some which was like the first Super Mario Brothers level 1-1, but done as Super Mario Brothers 3. But what's great about this, which is the reason why I bought this on the Wii, or the Wii U actually, is because all those extra levels are already unlocked.
I think that's what is with this. Yeah.
Same thing here. All those extra levels are already unlocked. So very fun to play. It just adds more to the game. And it's Super Mario Brothers 3. I mean, come on. That's it.
Yeah, come on.
Nothing else is to mention.
Yeah.
WarioWare.
Hammer Brothers suit for the win.
Yes. WarioWare Inc., the first WarioWare game, the first that micro mini game extravaganza. I love WarioWare Inc., and I think I've gotten almost all of them except for the ones on the Wii, because those were.
I never played that one. So
no, you never played?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, it's literally tons of mini games that last 5 seconds or less.
Oh wow.
And like they don't even tell you really how to play. You kind of have to figure it out on your own. But they're very simplistic. A lot of them are very weird looking, but as you go on, it gets faster and faster. So what normally takes 5 seconds, you have to do it now like in 2 seconds or something.
Okay.
And you get panicking.
Yeah, because when I got the Game Boy Advance, they also re-released a lot of the old Nintendo games, the originals, the black box games, for lack of a better term, for the Advance. So I was collecting those. So, I got Super Mario Brothers, I got the original Legend of Zelda, I got the original Metroid.
Yep. Castlevania was on there as well.
Castlevania, Donkey Kong.
Do I have Donkey Kong?
What else?
But you're right. They were re-releasing stuff like that. But this WarioWare, definitely give it a shot. But it's like it's wild. It's definitely wild. And the one on the Switch actually is really good as well. The first handheld Mario Kart game, Super Circuit.
Yes, that was such a phenomenal game. I have that, and it's you can't go wrong with Mario Kart. You can't.
No, and again, there's really
so
not much
fun.
There's not much to say about it. That it's Mario Kart. Boom.
You race, and you have the red shell. You're fine.
And a lot of these courses have already been re-released on
Yes.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and so even the Wii U version had some old courses to it. But it's cool. And again, online multiplayer is already built into this, and a lot of the Game Boy Advance games were 4-player games.
Yes, they were.
So you do that. The first in the line of the handheld role-playing games, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Not as much of a spin-off as Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
But in their own right, some great, because this then led to like Bowser's Inside Story, and I forgot what the one was in between. But it's a great RPG, very Mario and Luigi. It's very in the world, and it's just a fun game to play. Really, nothing new came out of it. Doesn't really play like Paper Mario. It's its own entity, but worth playing. This I want to mention: The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. Now, have you played Minish Cap?
No,
you did not. Okay, so basically, it's Zelda, and it's kind of the precursor, if you will, to Mario Odyssey.
Oh yeah, because because what I have is I have the Link's Awakening re-release for the Advance, and I think it came with the 4 swords also.
Yes. Oh my God,
I have that
game, which ended up being even awesomer on GameCube. But in this, you get some sort of talking hat. And then you shrink. So really, it's almost like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids meets Zelda.
Wow.
So like anything that's
don't tell Disney.
So the octopus. What are they called? The
Octoroks.
Yes. Like now one of them is a boss.
Oh wow.
Because that's how tiny you are. But well worth playing. So awesome. And then a game I forgot to mention, which was a release here in the U.S., but I never heard of it before. Kururin.
Oh, I saw the trailer for that, and it was like, oh, that's interesting. Get the slow spinning blade through the maze without touching anything.
Basically, it's imagine it's supposed to be a helicopter, but what looks like a baton that's spinning, and you're right, you get it through. It's a fun, and I've played some of it. It is a very fun puzzler. I've never heard of it before. I'm very happy it's on here because I've been playing a lot. It's probably the most played Game Boy Advance game I'm playing in this list. Is this one because it's new to me. So so great lineup. Now here are the ones that are coming out down the road, which I'm kind of shocked some of these haven't been listed. They haven't been already dropped. A couple of RPGs: Fire Emblem and Golden Sun. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. F-Zero Maximum Velocity.
Oh, F-Zero is such an underrated franchise.
Kids,
the only problem with F-Zero is it's not 2-player.
This one might be.
Oh, because the original one on Super Nintendo isn't, and that's the game's biggest flaw.
That wasn't a split screen 2-player.
There's only F-Zero's 1-player.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I believe you. I just don't remember that. Okay. Yeah. Kids, there was a franchise put out by Nintendo called F-Zero that was amazing, but only got like 5 games for home consoles. So it was very weird. None of which has seen the light of day since the GameCube. And then a game that I've tried twice to play through and keep getting stopped with, Metroid Fusion.
Best one of the franchise. I can only say that because I haven't played Dread yet, but Metroid Fusion it is such a phenomenal game. And Mary's playing through that right now, and I'm going to play through it again when it gets released because it's just I don't know how many superlatives I can use. It's just a phenomenal game. The story is great. The gameplay itself is great. The mapping feature and how you can only go certain spots, they carried that over from Metroid 2, which was a nice little touch. Because I think, because they both took place on SR388. So
I don't remember the stories, to be honest with you. But
Mary keeps asking about the stories, and she keeps asking like the logics about it and the science about it. Like, Mary, it's just a game.
Well, I think depending
Fusion,
on
I cannot.
Depending on how good the Super Mario Brothers movie is, I think we might. I would not be surprised if we got like an animated Metroid movie down the road. That'd be interesting. So my experience with it is first, I had gotten Fusion on the 3DS because I bought the 3DS and then it dropped in price like 3 days later. As things happen every time I buy consoles, which is why I'm a little scared of buying a PS5 right now. But so to help those who bought a 3DS originally, they gave us like 10 NES games and 10 Game Boy Advance games for free. One of which was Fusion, which I'd never owned before. So I started playing through Fusion, got to the end, and then my memory card decided to just eject itself and erase itself. So all that work gone. So I didn't play Metroid Fusion. And I think Metroid Fusion, I dare say, was the first Metroid I ever truly sat down and played. I tried the original Metroid. I just never got into it.
Yeah.
So years go by. I'm like, all right. And then Dread drops, Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
And I, as documented in the series,
I went on your Metroid bin.
Fell in love, and I went into. I got that. Then Super Metroid was done, and then Metroid 2 was done, and then I went, and then Zero Mission. I gotta say, personally, I like Zero Mission more than
Better
Fusion.
than the original. Oh,
well, probably because I keep running into problems with Fusion. So,
well, did you play through the original yet or no?
No, but Zero Missions is like a remake of the original.
Yeah, yes, and
I
no.
know.
I mean, Zero Mission did a better job with the original than
well, it has a map.
Samus Returns did with Return of Samus. Because Samus Returns was just a horrible game.
But at least this one, I'll try original Metroid someday. But anyway, so then, all right, now it's time for Fusion again, and I go back to the 3DS. So I start playing. Now we're holding up really good. The problem is, I don't know how far your daughter's into the game, but I'm up to the there's like I won't get into details, but there's like a spider boss.
Yes.
And it is whipping my tail every time I play it. So that went to the wayside for now, which means
you gotta get under it and shoot up it.
I know. Trust me. Yeah. But what it's going to mean now is I'll wait for this bad boy to drop, and then I'll just start the whole dang thing over
again.
So,
oh no, I cannot wait for it. That's probably one of those things where I'm going to take a day off from work and just spend all day playing that game.
Well, when I went to play Zero Mission's so hard to find an original copy of it. I think it's actually really expensive.
I have it.
Same with Fusion.
Yeah, I have them both.
And I could have bought a reproduction, which I'm not against.
Yeah.
But I was like, I didn't want to play. Yeah. But then I remembered it was on the Wii U Virtual Console. So I bought it for like $6, and I got to play it on the TV.
Yeah.
So in any event, so those are the titles and what's going to be coming out. Again, here's a small wish list. I'll start with mine. 3 games mentioned before: Super Mario Advance, Super Mario Brothers 2. That should be on there because graphically it was really cool.
All of them should be on there.
Because the series deserves a new game, let's bring back F-Zero GP Legend, which was the sequel of Maximum Velocity. And then a game, a game that originally came out, I apologize, a game that originally came out in Japan on the Super Famicom, but we only got it on the Game Boy Advance, Mega Man and Bass. Mega Man and Bass, which is a phenomenal Mega Man game. Oh my gosh, so good. That's my wish.
Yeah. Zero Mission, of course. Every single Mario Advance.
All of them.
Oh no, all of them, because they're all good in their own way.
Bippity boppity boo.
Yeah, because the first one was 2, the second one was World.
No, I forgot what
the third one might have been
Yoshi's Island. Yes, that's what it was. And the fourth one
was Yoshi's Island was 3.
Yep.
Then 3 was 4. So yeah, just throw them all on there. Well, let's see, because that Zero Mission, and the Space Invaders.
Ooh, very good version of Space Invaders.
Very good version of
Space Invaders.
And you were saying Mario versus Donkey Kong. Did you say that?
Those are more DS games. I don't think they came out on the Game Boy Advance.
Let's see what else.
Yeah, I mean, there was some great, because Game Boy Advance started bringing back, like you said, a lot of the black box games.
Like Castlevania, because I have a whole bunch of them. Yeah.
So the Castlevania games on Game Boy Advance were really cool. But again, Konami put out the Castlevania Advance collection.
Yeah.
So, which I don't think had all of them though. So you might be able to get away with 1 or 2. Pardon me.
That's okay.
So, but yeah,
what else?
Great.
I'm
trying to think of my collection.
I could just get up and go get mine, but
no, now I remember because I put it onto my Game Boy Advance, and I was just playing it this morning on my Wii U because I have it on the Wii U, and then I realized I don't have my original copy anymore, which is now making me very mad. Pokemon Pinball.
Yes.
Very
well. You know what we missed on both of them.
What?
Well, this is more so for Anthony. The Final Fantasy games.
Very true. That was Final Fantasy Legends, they were called.
Yes.
And they were a good series. I think you can get them on the Switch, but you're right. They were really cool on their own. I think I owned Legend 2.
No, I didn't have them, but I bought my best
I don't know
friend.
why I have it.
But I bought my best friend for his birthday one of the one of the Advanced SPs, and I bought him the Final Fantasy game to go with it because he was a huge Final Fantasy person.
Awesome. And again, Pokemon Pinball. Even there was a Mario pinball game. And there's a few pinball games out there that are really cool. So maybe it'd be cool.
Where's it?
Careful, I don't want to pay for that. Good Lord.
Yeah.
So all in all, what do you think of these lineups? As a Game Boy player,
it's definitely a good start.
All right, cool.
Definitely a good start. The game, especially the Game Boy lineup. You had to have Tetris. Tetris is what came with the original Game Boy, so it's a good start. I still think they should have put the first Mario Land.
Me too.
In the starter pack, but you got 6 golden coins, so that's good. Couple of sports games would be nice, but as far as the advance, throwing Mario 3 on there was definitely a good start, and I can't wait for Metroid Fusion.
Awesome.
and also putting Link's Awakening on for the Game Boy One. Nintendo definitely got this one right.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Good for Nintendo.
And we've been waiting for this for what? How long has the Switch been out? 2017. So we're waiting for this, what, 5.5 years?
Something like that. You do the math, yeah.
Yeah, I just did. Yeah, 5.5 years. But I think, and it'll be nice to see what else comes out with this. Because maybe we'll get some surprises that were only released in Japan that didn't make it across here.
Which has happened.
Yeah, because that's what we did with a bunch of the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. Perfect example, Star Fox 2.
Yeah, well, no, not only that, but there's the wonderful Super Mario Picross.
Yeah,
that only came out in Japan. And I love the Picross series.
Mm-hmm.
So. That's one for here we go. That's one to release for the Game Boy. Mario's Picross. Oh my God, the game is fun. Talk about a great puzzle game. Oh, I fell in love with that again way after the game was already released. I had it on 3DS. So, all right. So we're gonna start wrapping this up. Actually,
yeah. I mean, this is quick. It's a quickie. I mean,
quickie. It sure ain't a quickie, no. but it goes fast when we're having fun. I just want to throw out that last week I think it was the 20th anniversary for the Japanese release of the Game Boy Advance SP. So as you mentioned before, you bought your friend Mario Game Boy Advance SP.
Yeah.
The SP ended up being a redesign of the Game Boy Advance, had a clamshell look to it, and had a little bit of a backlight to it, which was great. And I just want to show off the two that I have. They just happen to be special editions, kind of, sort of. This one here is an NES Game Boy Advance SP.
I wanted to grab that when it came out too, and I never did.
There it is. That's what with that Game Boy overlay to it.
Original Nintendo overlay.
Oh, excuse me. I meant Nintendo. I apologize. NES is what I meant to say. NES overlay. What's great? So this was like the original. Actually, does this even still boot up?
Do you have batteries in it? Yeah,
no. These were rechargeable.
Okay, now
these are the first rechargeable ones. But what I'm saying is, so there was the backlight, which is a very
yes.
No. But the backlight was this little you see there on the bottom.
Nice.
It's like a light on the bottom of the screen that lights up, which is nice, but it kind of drains out some of the color. So then one day I'm walking around, actually Manhattan, and I found this. I'm like, oh, they redesigned the SP, or they updated the SP, so now it's a full backlit screen, which world of difference. The only problem was at the time, and look, it's a great show, but I'm not a big fan of it. The only version that was available was the SpongeBob version of the Game Boy Advance SP. So this is the one that I own, and I have to say it is my favorite Game Boy Advance SP because it is a full. Let me see, this has battery. Yeah,
that is nice.
This is a full backlit screen. Like even when the light's off, it's still as bright as day. Where when the other one, when the light was off, you can't see anything. And yeah, this is my go-to, my SpongeBob. Nice. It was, you're a huge SpongeBob fan? I'm like, no, I actually never watched an episode. It's just a really good SP. So happy birthday to the Game Boy Advance SP, 20 years over in Japan. We got it a little later thereafter.
We always do. We're always late to the party.
And then two more quick pieces of news just to mention. First of all, and me and Anthony have already vowed that we are no longer watching these trailers because we want to go into the theater and experience what we're going to do. But the final official trailer for the Super Mario Brothers movie will drop via a Nintendo Direct on March 9th. So those of you who really want to deep dive and see what it's all about, and look, I'm not blaming Illumination. I'm not blaming Nintendo, but a lot of trailers nowadays give away way
The whole damn
too
thing.
much.
No, I've only seen the first trailer, and I'm going to leave it at that.
That's it.
I might actually even go to the movie theater for it. We'll see.
I'm the only thing I'm assuming is that this final trailer will probably get a lot more of Chris Pratt as Mario, and I love how everyone's hating on Chris Pratt as Mario. Meanwhile, what's his face? Charlie Day is basically using his own voice for Luigi, and no one's batting an eye at it.
Of course.
So I don't know.
People are stupid.
It's weird. But anyway, March 9th is the final trailer. And then just want to give a shout out, unfortunately, in a sad moment. The creator of the PlayStation logo sound passed away recently. Toru Okada, excuse me. And, I got to admit, when I heard about this, I'm envisioning it was when you booted up a PlayStation. No, it was actually he created the sound you hear during the commercials.
Ooh.
So let me see if I can get this. This is what you're gonna hear.
Oh.
That bam,
PlayStation.
Bam. Yeah, that noise.
Yeah.
And it's iconic. You hear that, you think PlayStation. So, but we want to give our respect. He passed away here recently. So, rest in peace, Toru Okada. And with that, we will wrap up this episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast. Charles, thank you very much for being on the show.
Oh, Larry, thank you for having me. Like I said, it's always fun to come on here. And as soon as I saw that, the first thing I did was text you guys, "Hey, can I make an appearance?"
You're looking for your appearance fee. Sorry.
No, I don't need an appearance.
All good. All right, Charles, let them know where they can find us. No,
they can't.
Remember, though, you can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts. Just search Retro Gamers Podcast. You find us on Instagram at Retro Gamers Podcast, on Twitter at Retro Gamers Pod, Facebook and YouTube also at Retro Gamers Podcast. Thumbs up, likes, shares. Get those algorithms going, especially on Twitter. Elon, we're here. Let us be known. Charles, you got anything, I don't know, to promote or whatever?
No.
Okay, no final words? Okay.
No, just go forth, have fun, and Nintendo got this right.
There we go. Excellent. Again, Charles, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. A pleasure as always.
And folks, we will catch you everywhere next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.